It's just nervous.
Are you guys on? Are you guys on?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear you guys. A lot of guys are muted. BK, can you hear me?
Can you hear us now?
I'm on, but everybody else isn't on.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else is muted right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation. As you can see, David's not here this evening. Please be gentle with me. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight.
Zoom.
Everybody's zooming okay there?
Fine.
Okay, thank you.
So we're good.
Roll call. Bud? Lori?
Yeah.
Jen?
Okay.
Bill? Tracy? And all of you.
There's more coming. All right.
First thing we're gonna do is approve the January 19th regular meeting minutes. If you've read them, folks, let me know your likes.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Me too. Okay, the second thing we've got is.
Yes,
That's the second.
yes.
Okay, the second one is a workshop that we did with the ARPA funds. I need them approved as well.
Yeah, but
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, as far as reports go, I'm on the top of the food chain. Like I said, bear with me, please. As far as the white birch program with Ready, the barrels are all set and the laterals are connected. All that remains of the sewer work is site repair, which will occur when the ground dries out. Have fun with that. All the large rocks in place and for the revetment, and the remaining smaller rock is in process and is expected to be into our B2B into March. Water level, current water levels, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, current water levels, 245.28, up another 4.5 inches since our last board meeting. We remained above the long-term average by a few inches. Verizon Tower. The upper work on the tower is complete, waiting for power and communication from the road to the site. The new electric pole was placed. We just need both RG&E and the contractor to finish the wiring up to the site. Beach dunes. Each property owner is a signer on the DEC coastal erosion zone permit. As such, they are responsible for maintaining the plantings. There are no state regulations regarding the fences. If we want to enforce them all remaining in place, we need to establish a local law. So in other words, if they want to move the fence, they can move the fence.
I
That's not,
just like to make a comment on that, because I'm the one that asked the question about the fences for the sand dunes. And I was told that one of the people had taken it down. It turned out it wasn't the person that was caught.
Right.
She's been incapacitated and couldn't possibly have done it. To make a long story short, I called Brad and Brad said, yes, we took it out for the time being, but because it was a temporary fence, it wasn't intended to be full time, but it probably will need to go back in. So I just wanted to follow up on that.
good, I appreciate that. Sill Shore Road. Brad has requested estimates to replace the metal portion of the pipe between Verdines and the Woods. He has requested both excavation estimates and trenchless estimates. In my correspondence with Chrissy Woods, she seems to realize that something must be done. Communication. Carly Straubing has agreed to work with us to address the website changes that have been suggested. She will also work to get Facebook page working as it should. She started this week. New York Forward. Governor Hochul announced on Monday that the Finger Lakes Region Awards will go to Medina, Perry, and the DRI to Geneseo. There are other grant opportunities coming up and that will evaluate for some of the ideas put forward in our application. All David passed off to me.
Giving you all the action items, man.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got pulled over on the way over. I have a headlight on because I hit it here.
Oh, no.
Okay, monthly report for Kevin. He had 13 permits are listed. Commercial dock bills were mixed into this. The total fees generated was $3,990.30. And obviously you can see Kevin's not here tonight.
I didn't get a talk to this before.
There, it's in your.
Came in late.
Okay, wastewater. 2 of the 3 manhole barracks are installed at White Birch. Raised 10 manhole covers, removed 51 inches of supernic from the digester Brian Northrop is replacing all the pipe galleries in Margaretta Road Pump Station. That came from Jeff Cook. Here we go. Now I'm going there. Think before you flush, clean sewer mains or happy sewer mains. The 4 P's of proper flushing.
That's
Let your
really-
mind wander.
Just gonna be very upset with you.
Yeah, that's a standardized.
Standard
one.
thing.
That's-
Oh, there you go. He's got FOG fog down here. It says fats, oils, and grease do not belong in our sewer system. The one in between, like I said, use your. That's it. Highway department is here.
Highway. Highway department has had 20 plow trips in the past month, which you wouldn't think that with the lack of snow, but compared to 67 trips this time last year at this date. Working on getting ready for the spring cleanup. Going to the yards, fixing the damages, whatever, pushing that around. Still Shore Road remains a problem, but the mitigation so far has been working, and we are up to 102.9 hours on the pump, 91.6 gallons of fuel. But since January, with the pipe being continuously monitored. They also want to say thank you to Wayne County for allowing us to borrow the equipment to continue to mitigate this issue
I think Dave said it was over 1 million gallons of water. So
easily. And that's all from them. For the for the ambulance, January had 33 responses, 19 with ALS assist, 16 were billable, 12 were sign-offs, 2 standbys. 13 responses for February so far.
And while you're there, can we do the officers or do you want to wait and do them?
I mean, yeah, we can do that. Everybody else can the list in the packet, right?
I'll wait till.
the fire, I didn't get the ambulance. one.
Yeah, that's fire. I'll wait till. I'll give this part a shot. I don't have much of a report. This is normal where we're talking about parking permit or parking officer downtown, insurance and that kind of thing, which is coming with a new budget. It's the next budget meeting, I believe, is on the 28th, February 28th. So if you're interested, come and sit. That's all I've got. Trustee Evans?
Okay, I think most of what's in my report is actually in the new items on the agenda around digital communication policy, as well as sustainable tourism, so I can hold off on those. I just wanted to express that I'm a bit upset with this hiring or having somebody join on to do the Facebook when we were telling me for 1.5 years which I still don't have access to the Facebook page.
Okay.
So-
It was okay to do that though, right? Wasn't that was okay to hire a person?
No, actually, in December of 2021, I reviewed the minutes. It actually said we made a motion to advertise.
Okay.
And that was the last conversation we had.
And that's a discussion that'll have to be held with powers to be. Okay, I mean, only because I don't know what was passed on there. I'm not gonna
No, that's okay.
run my chops at it. You all set then for right now?
I am. I'll have everything for the new items.
Trustee Burbidge?
On the CEC, we're still waiting for the EV station grant approval or denial. Melanie and Jenny Lowenstein are working on the benchmarking project, but that moved to Linda Youngman, I believe. And that's starting to go is so that they can benchmark what we're saving each year versus what we're spending from savings from the solar activities and LED lights. Parks, the RFQ has been posted. We're eagerly waiting for the opening of the bids on March 1st at 3 p.m. And we're excited about that. Sharon Lilla has been doing a great job fielding all the questions that have come in as people have looked at the bids. The planning board, I am concerned with the issues around the process of the planning board. Not the people, the process. I have recommended that we have Matt St. Martin at all planning board meetings. At this point in time, I support the Silver Waters Campground. I'm concerned that we did not have an emergency plan, parking plans, traffic flow study, and a garbage plan. And that's not anybody's fault. It's just that we should have a process. It starts from the beginning to the end. I think we need to have some improvement on our application forms with directions and flow charts and things like that, which will set our planning board up for success instead of failure.
I think, Matt, you got the email that we said, and you were gonna look into the policies for the two counties or the two.
Yeah, I got the email about looking into the potential changes and so forth, and then I saw a subsequent email from the mayor where he mentioned that he was gonna go through the planning board to get recommendations and so forth. About being at the meetings, what I told the mayor was I represent Village of Palmyra as well. They have meetings the same nights, but they typically don't have me go to their board meetings unless there's something of concern that they need me there. So I should be available. The next one next Tuesday, however, is Newark's village board meeting because of the holiday. Or I'm sorry, the planning board's got pushed from Monday because of the holiday. So I can't make that one, but what I told the mayor was if I can't make it, if I have the agenda in advance, I can send a letter with my recommendations.
That's going to be really important because, for instance, the campground is a huge project for our planning board. And like I say, this is nobody's fault. What's happened is the process has become very involved. It's changed, it's morphed, I guess is what you would say. And so it's time to update our process to make sure everything's okay. Do you have anybody else in your office that can come if you're not available?
No, I'm the only attorney in the
Okay.
office.
What about, I mean, it's on Zoom, right? Or
He's gonna be at another meeting.
He's at another
Yeah, I'm gonna be at
meeting.
Newark's meeting next Tuesday, so I can't make the next one, but from that point forward, I should be available.
Okay,
And you can look at the applications that we sent over from Webster and Ontario and see if we can't incorporate.
Yeah.
At least some of the rigor that they have in their application process. So before it even gets to the board, it'll have all the information that they need.
Right, yep, I can do that.
and on Sill Road, it's my understanding that we are in the process of the survey. It's gotten to the point where we're just waiting for the surveyor to do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We went with Bob Morris, surveyor out of Newark. He had the lowest bid. I've worked with him extensively at my office. He's very, very good. I'm just waiting for him to start. I asked him when he was available. I know he's got a lot going on, but I did explain to him this needs to be like a priority and a rush job. And it's my understanding he's gonna be starting soon. I'm just not sure when.
And Len,
It was there yesterday.
Well, there you go.
That's good news. Thanks, Fred.
thanks, Brad. Anyway, so Jennifer and I were out that way the other day after going to do some other board business, and Thursday, Brad was getting ready for the rain and taking care of it, and they had quite a day because one of the hoses popped and went into somebody's yard and was doing all sorts of crazy things, so it'll be great to have that repaired. And then on the sand dune issue, and maybe Tracy, you can answer this, is anybody going to Washington? Weren't we supposed to accept an award on that? And have we contacted the two volunteers that were involved in that?
Not the volunteers that I know of, but I know, the gentleman's name is completely gone. Tom Hart. Thank you, Maxine.
Here.
Well,
He's going.
he's the only one going at this point.
That's what I've heard. Because when I received this, I questioned it.
I really believe that
Maxine, do you?
the two volunteers that led the initiative here should be going. Didn't we pay him? Didn't he get paid for that job?
Tom Hart?
Yeah,
Yes. He was
well,
part of it already.
if Tom Hart got paid for it and our people didn't, they should at least accept the recognition for what was going, and at least we would make the offer.
I can ask. I'm not sure. I wasn't involved with that.
Probably
Okay,
a maximum number of people too, so. that's-
Okay. well, we can find that out and then we'll get to those people. Okay, thank you. Oh, and one last thing, traffic calming. I did have a meeting with that this last week with Dave, And that's going along pretty well. We've requested to have reduction to 25 miles per hour on Wickham Boulevard and Margaretta Road, because Margaretta Road has become like a speedway for some reason, as well as others. We have Mr. Kevin Rooney was the Wayne County representative that met with us. He's going to be taking a look at the two crosswalk opportunities at Harriman Park and at where the campground is going to go to get ready for that, so that we might be able to monitor the traffic a little better. We're also going to look at some more traffic control devices. So we prepared a letter as well. Kevin Rooney is going to do the study on behalf of us from Wayne County, and he was great. And we've written another letter to the state, which should go out tomorrow, asking a few more questions about how the studies were conducted. Because the only place we didn't really get a reduction was around the golf course area, and it used to be 45, and it's now 55. And from Sill Road down through, that's pretty fast. And all of a sudden it goes from 55 to 30 at the village line, and then you're right at Tideside. So if they don't slow down there, that's where all our population is walking and crossing and things like that. So we're taking another wing at it, and we've been doing pretty well at going back at them. So that's that. So I'm excited about it. It's gone well. Just on another note, the planning board has worked really, really hard, and I don't want anyone to think that I think that they are in any way part of what's going on with the process, because you're not. That's our job to refine that and to recognize that it needs to have somebody take a look at it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Public comments. Yes.
Bruce Eater, 8405 Bay Street, Chair of Sodas Point Planning Board. Before you tonight is proposed code change, chapter 141, property maintenance. Just a little background on that. I heard somebody say, well, it was found. Get a fast one by people, not very fast. We first were given the task in November of 2020. We set out questionnaires both on the website and personally. We took them around on November 20th. Our first draft was produced in February 21. Our second and then April, our third was in May. At May 6th, and sent the mayor a notice that we had a complete draft ready to go. Then, the June meeting, this board sent it back to us. The timing wasn't great because we were also taking on Tideside, which was a massive job. We're still dealing with monitoring that. We restarted in October of 21 because the application started to slow down. We worked with Art Williams, and Kevin Russell. Turned out that Art's complaints about it had been that we incorporated state code, and he didn't like the redundancy. So him and Kevin sat down, they removed the redundancy, and we sat down with the two of them and worked on that.
Lori attended the one workshop where we went through the thing and pulled it together. And then it sat on the shelf because we were swamped again. October of this year, well, actually October of 22. I dusted it off, asked the board if there were any additions, changes, repeated that request into December. The only thing that we changed was the addition of the section on storage containers and dumpsters. This does not ban those, but it regulates those. I had some Lori questions about, we're hitting people up for fees all the time. The planning board does not set the fees. You can make the fee whatever you want. You want to make it nominal at $1 fee, that's up to you. If you compare this draft to what our current chapter 141 is, it's a large or a big improvement. It addresses the concerns our neighbors, our residents have expressed and keep expressing. As I came in the door today, I read it and asked, what can you do about it? And so it depends on what happens here. Under Laura, we run into this all the time in the planning board. There are things that we can't do because it's not in the code. So our code is very out of date and needs, and this is the first step.
I'm gonna just, you've used my name a couple of times, so I want to just respond to that if that's all right. I don't not support this. I believe that you guys have done a pretty good job. I don't agree with fees because I think we pay enough in taxes, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter what it's on, what the dumpster situation.
I'm not trying to pick on you.
But, well, let me just finish. And I believe that it needs to get out to the people and let the people decide. And that's where I'm at with it. But I haven't made any comments nor written anything.
I appreciate that.
It's up to you to say, or I think I sent a letter to Kevin and asked him whether there were other fees, how many places did he know that charge fees? That was the question.
That's up to them, Kevin. I just got your query about, charging too much. This was also sent to Matthew, who looked it over. He made a few suggestions on the storage containers and the dumpsters, which were incorporated. So, all I'm asking is that you let the people take a look at it, give you what their thoughts are, and then you can make a decision.
Can I ask, how are you going to let all of our taxpayers know about this,
Well,
other than Monday's meeting that's coming up? No, there's
No,
a way to do that. There's a
there's no,
entire
there's no,
process.
Well, they gotta have a public hearing would be the
Public
next
hearing,
step.
and
there will
30-day
be public
comment period.
hearings.
You know,
It
and
is,
that-
it is posted.
It's on the new business, so right now we're just doing public comments. So if anybody else wants to stand up and comment similar to Bruce, and then we'll talk about it in the agenda.
It is on the village website now.
yes.
And,
I would hope that we would send it out with our constant contact to try to get it to all the people.
and I believe,
We can talk about how it wants to
I
Yeah.
believe they incorporated it into the shoreline newsletter that came out.
I don't think it was in the last
No.
one.
No.
Agenda.
No.
Actually, Lori asked if it could be in the shoreline, and Kevin said he couldn't do it.
It was attached to the agenda. It was attached.
Well,
The
that's
link was
correct,
attached to the agenda.
correct?
I know there's a link.
I said no.
Great.
Thanks, Bruce.
Bruce, when will the meeting be? When will when will?
It's not-
The public hearing is up to them.
That's up to them.
I would imagine it'd be at the next meeting.
Well, let's do it in the agenda.
Let's get, yeah, let's
Get to that. Let
point.
people say what they want to say.
Anybody else, public comment?
All right. Evening, Maxine.
You're here in person.
Here in person tonight, because it's very important to me. First of all, I just want to comment about the substantial information for the planning and zoning board. On the old website, there was this huge section for code enforcement. It had the diagram of the planning process and what the public should expect. It's still around. And it also made it easy for the public so that they knew exactly what they needed to bring and an example of a plot map, because sometimes they don't know, they just draw and there's no like north arrow or anything. So that stuff exists and it can be done. I just want to comment about your comment about the planning board. The problem that I see as a former planning board member is, as a planning board in the old days, we never had that many applications. I mean, there's no way to get through 5 or 6 applications in one night, especially when you've got an application of that magnitude. So, you know, slow it down. I think the planning board would do a better job if they had the time to do so.
I think you're
You
right.
can't just do a drive-by on a project that big.
Right.
I do feel that you're right on some things. I mean, as far as the seeker goes, we would have never done part 2 and part 3 in one meeting in like 10 minutes. There's no way. I mean, that's just unheard of. Those things take time. But I think when it gets to the county, they're gonna ask, I would be really surprised if they didn't ask for a traffic study and also a drainage plan. I mean, that's pretty standard. I also don't think the planning board really understands that they can ask the applicant to provide those at their expense, or they can consult with like Wayne County Soil and Water or Genesee Finger Lakes, Transportation Council. All those entities can be brought in as a consultation, because that's a huge project. I mean, whether it's good for the village or not, I don't have an opinion on that because I didn't hear enough. And so the one thing I did want to say is that I do support the changes, and I wanted to make sure for the no, I support the process of allowing the public to make comment. I just have, Matt, I have a question for you. So this has come up before, and the last time it came up, the board squelched it before it went out to the public. You are at board meetings all the time. Have you ever had an experience where a board would make changes to the document before it went to the public? Or shouldn't it go to the public for hearing and then come back and make those changes?
I guess I would need to know the specific circumstances. So, you know, normally, I don't know, I'm hesitant to speak about it without knowing like the specific circumstances, I guess would be what I would have to answer.
Well, there are a lot of ways that you can get the information out to the public. Either, first of all, constant contact. You use constant contact. There's a section where you can actually accept comments through constant contact. You could use Google Docs. There's no reason why you can't accept, put it in Google, and then there's already an email set up that could go to everyone. And there's also a place called FormStack. You could get that for a month. It goes into an Excel file so that you can review and take a look at all comments. But I would really like to see it go out to public comment, just not comment to a few. And then, you know, have a 30-day comment period written and advertise it. This is it. You know, it's important to a lot of people. Have you seen the letters that have been written? Have you had a chance to review any letters? See, you guys should have that information.
Yeah, it seems like it. I agree with you as far as letting the people see it, because I got a note from somebody that said the garbage is a great thing, 24 hours for your can, but it doesn't say you can't put it out 5 days in advance. And I thought to myself, that's great. Those are the things, by having everybody involved in it, we'll get a better product, I believe, by letting people comment on it.
And I know I talked too long, but I just have one other comment. I walk in Willow Park every morning about 6:30 a.m. and there is a lot of trash that I try to pick up, but there's no dumpster, there's like no garbage can there. I couldn't take it home with me. I piled it up in a big pile, but shouldn't there be a garbage can out there?
Yes.
I definitely think we should have a couple of them. And Sodas has receptacles for, Sodas has new blue ones that are recyclables and waste. They're very nice. We could upgrade a little.
Any other public comments?
Sure. The locally owned 7573 Fifth Street. I think as long as we're gonna start reviewing processes for a planning board. When you look at our zoning chart and the different classifications, it seems like somewhere along the line there was an afterthought that they put an asterisk in there. And then made, and this would help with the planning board's agendas week to week. As a real estate investor, when we buy real estate, we buy zoning and we look at permitted uses, special use permits, and which ones need variances, which ones are permitted. So this point has this asterisk, which if you weren't really looking really close at, you would miss it. There's an asterisk that says every single permitted use has to go for planning board approval. But if it's a permitted use, can you really stop them from doing it? Because they bought the zoning. So that's a question for you, Matt. If it's a permitted use and it meets the code, and they don't need a variance, they don't need a special use permit, why do they need planning board approval? What are they getting for the planning board approval?
If it's over a certain
That's
dollar
that. Yeah,
amount.
you
Yeah,
need one.
answer.
So it's a permitted use. So someone buys a piece of property. So what this will do is it's gonna hamper commercial real estate or any real estate, so to speak, because then the realtors almost have to put a thing out there and say, yeah, it's permitted, but you better go and get planning board approval before you buy the property. They may not let you do it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I actually was talking to CEO Driscoll, and I believe I know exact section of the code you're talking about. So it may be something that needs to be reviewed about potentially revising it, because there's a lot of things in there that in other municipalities, the code enforcement officer can just give a permit for you, doesn't have to go through planning board approval. You're talking about how many applications that they have, so that may be something that should be
I mean,
reviewed.
that would cut down a lot, because if it's a permitted use and Kevin has the job of making sure it meets code, it should be, an automatic. Can you tune the uses up a little better? As we're gonna revisit this, the zoning and that, you can redefine those, because there's not a lot of differentiation between LCR, industrial, and waterfront commercial. If you look, there's only like 4 differences of what you can do between our highest level of zoning and our lowest level of zoning. So that being said, I think that would help streamline and lighten the load on planning. It'll heavy the load on Kevin a little bit, because he's gonna have to take more responsibility and make sure the permitted use falls in line with the code in that. And that being said, I read through the new changes, and I know there's gonna be a public hearing, but seeing that it's open for public comment. We have issues with this new code 141 revisions, because it's restrictive on zoning now. It's actually, it looks like spot zoning. When you have a classification like I have, it's wholesale sales and service. And it doesn't really limit what's wholesale sales and service as far as product. I sell boathouse, hoists, and docks. Your new code revisions are basically banning that. That's spot zoning, and that's illegal. So I invested in a piece of property. I've been doing something there for almost 5 years now. And, There's certain people in town which may not like the way a boat hoist looks, but a boat hoist doesn't, it's not a lit sign. It doesn't make any noise. It doesn't attract any vermin. It's a quiet, innocuous piece of equipment. It's all over the place.
There's a
And-
specific section that you're talking about in here that.
And well, they, you know, so someone went out of their way to create a new nomenclature called marine equipment.
So 141
So, I mean,
9.
somebody went way out of their way to create this situation,
So
so.
-8 and -9 are the ones that you're talking
And
about.
like I said, I wasn't really, I didn't think that we were gonna comment on it, but as long as we're talking about.
Well, Matt,
All
gotta
of
look at
this,
it, right?
it's something that really needs to be addressed, and, you know, Kevin looked into it a little bit, and Art couldn't remember why they added that asterisk way back on, because it was definitely an afterthought or something came after the zoning was created, but in that chart, that asterisk is, it really makes it so, you know, a buyer beware situation, so to speak.
Okay.
And we also have to recognize that, you know, two of the more nouveau investors in Point, me being one, and Brandon Marks being another, our businesses were based in docks and hoists. The fact that, and, you know, through that process and being in these businesses, you know, we've expanded, we both bought similar zoning, we bought waterfront commercial, we purchased like limited commercial residential. And we're reinvesting in the community that we've made our money. And now they want to ban the core business, and we're the ones, you know, Brandon built Airbnb, he built this building, increasing the tax base and bringing more people in. I'm taking people like properties that haven't been active in a very long time, and I'm activating them. I'm doing the same. I brought 4 new businesses to town in the last 2 years. And the very court that has allowed me to do these things are being restricted in this new code. So it would actually hamper the growth of this village and the reinvestment in this village.
Do me a favor,
Sure,
time wise.
I'm done.
What I just want to tell you is, put it on paper,
I will.
get it to the people who are power to be. I don't mean to push you off.
No, that's fine. I just,
You know, if there's anybody else,
Can I talk?
public comments, just a second, Timmy.
Anybody else in the room first?
Anybody else, public comments in the crowd here?
I'd like to say something.
Okay, well, Timmy unmute himself first, or?
Yeah, Tim, you there?
First.
Yeah, hold off just 1 minute, please. Go ahead, Tim.
I'm listening. I was on the planning board and we're talking about these codes and we had things all set up. We sat in a room for 3-4 days going through codes. We put them for the board and they didn't like what we decided to do. And now all of a sudden it's coming back and we're talking about them again. But with the dumpsters and the garbage and stuff, they didn't agree what we said. And now it's coming back. How long do we have to go? It's gonna come back again. It's getting ridiculous. We're talking about garbage. We're talking about dumpsters. We're talking about this. It's getting old. That's how I feel, and I'll stop right there.
All right,
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, TJ. Next, ma'am.
This is Jean Halligan and I live on 2nd Street. And we have people on 2nd Street that leave their garbage can in the street 7 days a week, all summer. This has been going on for several years, and we have more and more rental properties. And one family owns 2 houses on the street, and they now leave the garbage cans in the street, further out than the mailboxes, out further than the highway signs, 7 days a week. And the streets are narrow, and you need a little, every foot you have to back up. And I hope the village board has the willingness to keep Sodas Point clean. People aren't going to want to move here or invest in the village if you can't take care of the garbage. As an aside, my daughter lives in Manhattan. They have a terrible problem with mice and rats from uncovered, left outside garbage. And we have even had a rat at the end of 2nd Street in one of the homes. And so I hope the village has the willingness to have a decent, like human decency in most neighborhoods and most locations. You bring your trash out the day before and you bring your trash can up the next day. And that is not making Sodas Point too restrictive or an awful place to live. You're actually enhancing the village to encourage investment. But I can't tell you the number of renters that even go down the street, take a whiff of the garbage, you go, ugh, oh my God. And they have to walk by the garbage 7 days a week. Garbage belongs kind of off to the side, out in the back, covered, but you don't make the rest of the world breathe, smell, and bump into your garbage. And then the people complain that, people help themselves to the garbage can. They throw their garbage on they throw their own personal trash into the garbage cans. And the whole thing is just rather disgusting. And I'm really encouraged that this code came back in front of the village board. And I hope you have the willingness. We live in a village with more and more and more people. It's not right to leave your trash in the road uncovered every day.
And one of the problems that I have right off the top is we keep talking about the village board. We keep talking about the village. What about the people that are parking the stuff out there that aren't keeping track of it? It's okay to push it off on a group of people, but it's like teaching your kids not to go and bloody somebody's lip at school, Teach them to do that, but it's the same.
But the village doesn't have, the village can write, according to Kevin, they can write, and this in Second Street isn't the only place that this happens, according to other people I've spoken with, that the way the code is right now, Kevin, the New York State Property Maintenance Code says you're supposed to keep your trash covered, but it doesn't say where you have to put the trash. He can write them a letter, but there are no consequences to the letter. So you can ask them nicely not to do that. They don't stop the behavior. Kevin can write them a letter, but there is no consequence. So when you're misbehaving and you're sort of like, think of an elementary classroom where they have the picture of the student's name and you're in deep water and then your ship is sinking and your ship is sunk and you go into timeout. In most municipalities where you have a lot of people close together, you have trash codes for public health purposes, including attracting, we get infestations of yellow jackets. We had one so bad at the end of Second Street, I couldn't walk in and out of my house. It's one of the reasons why I wanted the variance and thankfully got it and built the garage. So that if you get the yellow jackets again, I can get in and out of my house via my car and get away from the yellow jackets. But the village needs to, the essential question is this village board willing to keep the village clean? You're not going to have increased investment and people keep fixing up their homes and adding businesses when there's trash all over the place. And there's a lot of codes in this, and it may be that some of these codes are more controversial than others. I don't wrap my head in all the dock things and all of the things that are proposed. But it's really time for the village to have a bring your trash out the night before, take your trash in code with an escalating, I don't know, you get 2 warnings and then you get a fine or something.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
Can I make
Go
a
ahead.
comment?
Sure.
Can you just, for your reference, and you said this 3 or 4 times, you said you hope the village board does this, the village board does that. Just so we're clear, we, as the board, don't come up with any of these codes, anything. This is nothing to us. The planning board decides what this is going to be, revises it.
No, I understand.
Right.
It goes to planning. It goes to planning. And
Right,
once
they
they
put it
get
together.
something together, eventually
And then-
the
and then it
village
comes
has
to
to say
us.
it's okay.
Right, but we can only vote on what's put in front of us. We don't rewrite this at this point. I'm just, this has to come to a public hearing and then come back and then, get mashed around, if you will. But we're not writing this.
You're new to this board. We've been trying to do this. You barely got on this board. We've been doing this forever down here trying to do it. So don't say we. You're brand new to this board. I'm sorry, but I get frustrated because I listen to we are doing it. You're not.
I just said we are not.
I know, but you're saying, but you're barely here.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Timmy. Anybody else on Zoom?
And one other quick thing, the way the code is written, it says you have to bring your trash in within 24 hours, but the way it was worded, it doesn't say when you can set it out. So theoretically, you could get some crackerjack, and this is a problem with the way it's worded, so think carefully, please, with me, but the way it's worded, somebody could bring their trash out on Monday, bring their can up by Tuesday, and put it back in the street by Wednesday. And that defeats the purpose of having a clean village. And I don't think we're ever going to be a Skinny Atlas or fancy Canandaigua. And I'm not asking the village of Sodas Point to be that way, but it's disgusting the way we have our trash code right now.
Jeannie, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Anybody else in the crowd?
I just have one more thing.
Let's let Elaine take a turn.
I have no interest in going to Washington. I don't know if Lori does or not, but thank you very much for offering. It's very expensive. It's $250 a person just for the award ceremony. Thank you.
Okay.
Elaine
Thank you,
Alex,
Nancy.
Gardner Lane, I just want to say, we have renters and we have homeowners. The homeowners take care of their recyclables, but I have to say that we have a lot more people that are part-time homeowners here and they rent them. The trash does go out one day and doesn't come back for a week. I walk around and put the trash cans up their driveways, so they're off the street now. But I don't do it for all of Greg Street. I do it for the 2 streets that I'm on.
Sure.
But that is a problem with non-resident homes.
It is. I do it for my neighbor because they aren't home and.
I know.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm
all set
sorry,
with everybody in the crowd? Jeannie?
I have to speak up again.
On
I
paper
have to
for me.
speak up again because it's my neighbors. It's residential neighbors who live there all week long that leave their trash in the street. It's not just the renters. And Ted Welter has lots of rental properties in Sodas Point, and he has a big sign on the trash can, and it's in his rental contract. You take the trash out, you bring the trash up. And believe it or not, when the landlord tells the people and has all these signs and stickers, would you believe the renters, the tenants, are better at bringing up their trash than residents of Sodas Point?
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom? We're going to close this
Yeah.
section of
I
the
got it.
public comments.
Can I-
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm sorry, this is Corey Smith over on Greg Street, and I just got a quick question, not to take up any more time. Am I right in believing that the way these new proposals are written, it says that even somebody that has a dump trailer needs to get a permit to use the dump trailer on a customer's home?
Well, Matt left the room. Yeah, Matt left the room, Corey, but I'm not sure if it defines it that way. You have to look at the definitions of what they are calling a dumpster. It says a roll-off dumpster or other container of any size or length without a cover intended to be placed on a location for a limited amount of time to accommodate the disposal of refuse or debris. So that sounds like any kind of container.
Yeah, right, which is why I'm asking the question. So also on top, so that was just one thing I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. And then another question was, are we allowed, the way this new proposal is written, can we store our boat trailers on our property for more than 2 weeks? Because it looks like to me that we're not allowed to store any type of quote unquote marine equipment on the property for more than 2 weeks, regardless of zone.
We're looking for residential.
Yes.
The way it was written and intended was if it's licensed, it's operable, it can be there.
Corey, did you hear that?
Yes, I did. So if it's licensed and it works, it can be on our property, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to close the session. Old business. There's none marked down. New business. We're going to start with accepting the audit report from MMB.
Is there somebody on here from MMB or?
I can't really tell by the gallery. You have a gallery look or do you have?
If they're not here, I'd like to move that we postpone it till the next meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll get with Tracy and ask him for a couple other things that we talked about this afternoon.
Because it was a verbal conversation.
Yes.
You weren't privy to.
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
So we'll push that.
Okay, we're gonna put that off. We're gonna postpone it until we can get a representative here from MMB. To kind of go through things with us. The next thing, this will be yours, I believe, but, oh, I'm sorry. Did I hear somebody?
Oh, he said.
Okay, approval of the fire department officers and also the ambulance officer, something we have to do on an annual basis after the elections. The board has to approve them. I have to abstain.
Okay. Fire department officers. Line up.
No.
You just gonna read them, I think.
I usually miss.
Okay, okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry,
okay,
everybody.
so chief would be Mark Jones Jr., assistant chief. Is Chuck, right?
No,
Or
Anthony,
Anthony took
just
it?
the line, yeah,
Okay.
they changed it around.
Oh, they changed it around,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
There's,
that's in you. It is-
I didn't get the packet.
It had it up.
I got a couple pages, but I didn't have the full packet.
Have you seen the ambulance?
Brian Williams, Dan Motner, and 22-6 is Chuck Sargent. Business officers are Chris Sheets, Vice President Luke Brockmeyer, Treasurer Tim Jones, and Secretary Nancy Crawford. I'll make a motion to approve the officers as appointed.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
After abstain, okay, you want to do the ambulance?
And for ambulance officers, Director of Operations, Bill Kalush, Assistant Director, Keith Ignor. President is Tom,
I don't know.
thank you. Vice President Jeff Mathis, Treasurer Sherry Kalush, and Secretary is Lori Hayden.
No, it's a hand.
It's a hand.
We didn't get that either.
I'll give you.
Okay.
So is it so moved already, or did you motion that?
I didn't hear.
No, I did, I moved that we accept the officers that are voted down by them.
Okay, second,
All in
But you only
favor?
have 3 people voted. How can you do that?
That's okay.
What's that?
People can vote.
Well, that's a quorum.
that's a quorum.
Yeah.
It's a call. 3 out of 5.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Next one, C is digital meeting policy.
So I submitted to Dave a PowerPoint that was actually issued by Kathy Whipple on October 3rd, 2022. I sent everybody a copy on the board. It basically just outlines the ability to continue on using video conferencing like Zoom and YouTube for our meetings. And he added in this open meetings law changes to the video conferencing procedure, which I just got. But what I was hoping to do, if the board is interested in doing that, is actually craft our own digital meeting policy with the assistance of Matt. And it needs to be on the website for Kathy's presentation in this document. And the interaction plan with the public needs to be defined as well. And the notices for those meetings, the video conference meetings, need to be put out by a certain date. Any documents accompanying them need to be attached.
And the other thing we wanted to do is keep it the way it is, to have it run, the meeting run live, so that it automatically uploads,
There's no delay.
so there's no delay.
Do you want to just put it off then until you,
I actually want a policy that we can actually make a motion to
Right.
that everybody. can-
but you're gonna have to write it or you're gonna have to come up with it and. so
I'm
that's-
happy to work with Matt on it
So it just needs to be put off to the next meeting or,
as soon as we can get it together. Yeah, maybe more than that. but-
okay, yeah, that's fine.
We want to follow this
I'll
for
be
the
glad to
most
help.
part, but I think there's some, like Lori said, she wants it to be available immediately. I mean, it can be available immediately.
Yeah,
Okay, so after further review, we're gonna go back and revisit this digital meeting policy. So that's been put off for at this time until you say you're ready.
Yeah, and so Matt and I can put one together that works for putting it on. I just wanted to the public is very well informed on how they can interact with it and when,
Mhm.
all the accompanying documentation.
Okay, are you gonna draft something and kind of need a review, or did you want to talk about it first, or how do you want to handle it?
I will do that.
Okay.
You're gonna draft.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, and I'll send it over to him. It'll be based on the stuff that he got from the state,
Okay,
Nikon and
cool.
Captain Hogan.
What's that?
Yep. that one's good.
Sustainable tourism is the third, the next
That's
thing.
also me. Okay, so based on all of the planning board discussions and the amount of applications and the growing interest in having business in Sodas Point, it seems like it's going really fast and there's not an overall strategy. So we're not really thinking about, do we have two of the same businesses right next door to each other? Do we have the right businesses in the business district? Are we applying sustainable measures against the decisions that we're making? So are we thinking about sustainable tourism, which by definition takes a full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, addressing the needs of visitors, industry, meaning business, the environment, this nice village that we have, and the host community, so the residents. So the Gene, who's upset about our garbage, and the fact that we have voice, all of that has to be kind of understood in the context of what type of village we want to be. So I did some research and went to a couple websites that are experts on that, N2 and the Global Sustainability Tourism Commission, and came back with 4 pillars of sustainable tourism that we could dive into a little bit and actually think about how could we do that here. So effective management, how are you implementing and managing sustainable practices for tourism in the community? What does your messaging look like? Are you talking to the visitors? Are you talking to the community? Are you talking to the businesses? Is everybody on the same page? Social and economic, how are you helping the places where your tourism operates? Do we have enough recycle bins? Do we have enough garbage cans? As we grow these businesses, do we have any of that? And are we considering any of that when we do our planning work? Right now, I don't think we do that.
No.
Cultural, how does your tourism business support cultural heritage? There's a lot of people that want to keep the village small and quaint. Maintain our, this is what we grew up as. These people have been here for 30 years. There's a lot of that should be brought to the table because it does affect how people interact with our environment. And then as far as an environment itself, are we protecting, conserving, educating, and being positive stewards of the environment ecosystem that we operate in? So is everybody at the Airbnb, are they doing things that are eco-friendly? I don't know. Is it something that we could look at? Potentially. So I went out and found a case study for a location that was, I guess, similar to us in the context that it's land and water. So there's impacts by both. And it was for Sedona, Arizona. And it's a 100-page document that Tracy didn't want me to print one for everyone. So I just have one that you can look at.
Electronic.
And it is available electronic. If people want to see it, we can put it on the site. It's just an example of how you can, I guess, put a process around it. You start small. We're not Sedona, Arizona, right? We're like,
Yeah,
right. But I mean, they came up with basically 4 areas out of that assessment. And it basically says environment, lead the tourism industry in implementing sustainable principles, positioning Sedona as a national and international leader and destination steward. So if we want to be a destination, we have to act like one. Resident quality of life, protect and enhance the quality of life by mitigating impacts of tourism. Let's not put a basketball court outside Penny's window. Let's not, right? Let's not have the garbage in the middle of Jean's backyard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those are things that we could all get together and agree on and come up with, where is the garbage plan? Where are we gonna put those?
We need a
Right?
garbage
Where do they
plan.
belong? Right? Okay, quality of the economy. They came back and said the shape of the Sedona economy in ways that balance long-term sustainability and vibrancy. So don't just put a business that's going to be here for a year. Think about long-term. What is that going to look like? What does it grow into? What does it bring to the visitors? What does it bring to the community? What are the impacts on the environment? So every time you make a decision on the planning board, I think maybe these things should be important.
That's
I
available
remind
here.
We don't make the rules, we just make sure that they're.
This is an approach. This is an approach. And if we're talking about revising,
Yeah.
then those are questions we might want to think about incorporating into our
Yes.
application.
So that's what the LWRP is for, so it would be great to incorporate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that is.
This would make it actionable, where you could actually do things with it versus having it just be a document that we're just kind of pointing to.
As Unfortunately, it's come up a couple times on the planning board where so the RP does not with code. That's why-
This is exactly what we're talking about.
I know that.
This isn't done in a vacuum. This is actually done by bringing all of those stakeholders together.
Saying that we're- So if you get it all together,
I'm not saying it'll be easy, but I'm saying it's something that we should be thinking about.
so
But there's a committee that you can join in the actual Sedona case study. And if the board wants to look any further into that, I can come back and talk about what that costs, what that yields, what's that process, where did you start, what are the elements? I'm happy to look into it further if there's interest.
Somebody on Zoom is unmuted. Please mute yourself. You all set?
I am. I just wanted to raise that and see if there was any
Okay, the
interest.
last thing that's on here is the chapter 141.
Sorry.
That a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd like to make a motion that we take chapter 141 and we give it to and then we take a look, when we go through it, we take, let's say 141-1 is the title, we go through that and we say, yes, we agree with that, no, we don't agree with that, and to see where we need to modify. And then we send the modifications that we think need some work based on what we get from the people back to the planning board for final, and then see if it's adoptable. And we put in our information too, because we have a right to have a view on it. Is that a good process or
Not the next board meeting, that's too soon.
too soon?
yeah, plus there's.
So there's not a lot of people there. Some of them aren't even here right now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, another option is you could start a public hearing at the next meeting and then just keep it open until the following meeting.
Oh, that's good.
So that gives us, more time.
If you,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then, so then we
April.
look to take a look at it, that gets us March and April. So we have the hearing in April with adoption, so that the garbage might be cleaned up by
We
May.
also, we have to
We'll have a
remember,
summertime plan. Right.
You
it's
also-
budget season also.
you also, if you do open a public hearing, you have to close it within so many days, and I would have to look at how many, but so maybe not, don't start it, I'll take that back, don't necessarily start it.
Okay,
Till we get more
so we have the
information.
open hearing but we could put it on each agenda so that the public can still talk to us.
So I don't mind the digital aspect, like Maxine mentioned, the constant contact to
Yeah, I like that too.
immediate digital feedback, but I think the public hearing thing is something we should do because people may want to actually come in and
Well, we have to do that legally to adopt it.
figure out the timeline now.
Well, they
Because I
have to
think we
do-
need to let people come back to
Does it,
that.
can't we consider doing it a different time also?
Tracy's, don't do it during May.
Well, I'm just.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It
you
doesn't
can,
have to be in a board meeting is what she's saying.
Oh, right.
you
Okay.
can do it whenever, it just has to be appropriately.
I
We
think
have to
that's
just
such a
do
hot
it.
topic, that would be a good idea to have a special
Yeah,
meeting.
I agree.
Because
Yeah,
you're
we
gonna
get
you're
to
gonna
our
fill
board
it.
meeting.
Yeah, we had that, we had that.
Um,
We did that with the New York Forward thing. We had like a
Yeah.
sheet,
I mean,
people could write what they wanted out of
the
the
budget,
the
the
action.
action to the meeting, just.
Right.
Add it on. You could have it, you just have to make sure you have it prior to whenever you vote on it.
Okay.
So.
So we need to know what guidance on how long the period has
Well,
to be.
Well, the notice just has to be 10 days, so I mean,
So 10 days until,
yeah, you just have to post it 10 days.
and I don't think we should have.
Till they're back.
Maybe
Oh, you mean like May?
April, May, that's when they start coming back, right?
Well, what if we were to adopt the garbage one ahead of time?
No, we can't do that, it's picking and choosing,
Yeah,
based on
you're
our own
right.
opinion, and you can't. That's.
So then
I
the
think
hearing
that's-
should be
that's-
May.
Do you want to do the digital thing? The constant contact?
I'm
open
open
it up,
to digital. I've used that before. I like it.
and that can be.
If you're gonna put it off until May, why don't you guys discuss
we'll
pick a
discuss.
date and then make it, because I mean, you're looking 3 months away.
We can talk about it
the
again.
next- At the board meeting.
Okay.
I make a motion that we table this item until the next meeting, at which time to decide what.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's what it takes.
But
So yeah, I
I
have a
move
question.
that we get it dispersed to the people. On the
It's already on the
website,
website.
now we need to do it on constant contact, shoreline, and, the
If
website.
it's on the website, that's really good.
It's really not easy to find them, just so that.
If anyone wants, they actually, email.
Okay.
Easy, and then
And
documents.
It's easy to put on constant contact. There's a little thing that just sucks it right up and it goes.
Yes, I mean, I have a
But
digital
can
copy of it.
we request that? Yes. You'll just like. figure out.
I think the motion is that we want to send it out to the public.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it
Get it.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's on, it's.
Get it to the taxpayer.
Question, not sure. We have a digital copy of it.
Yeah.
We request the records from us.
Now that it's on.
No, you can.
Okay, okay, I just want to make sure.
No, you-
Yeah, just that, I'm sure they'll know, but just make clear to them that it's proposed. it's not
Yes,
that-
right, right. No, because I had somebody at it before this morning, I'm like, I'm not sure.
I mean, I think.
Let's do that. Put that on the website too,
Yeah.
where you're pointing it to, point to the document that have it. Otherwise, people are gonna be calling you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Shall we move on to paying our bills?
So 2-1 to 256.
Gentlemen, ladies, please.
73,764.34. General 51,385.38. Water 6,170.95. Wastewater 16,208.01.
I move that we pay the bill.
Second. Anybody?
Aye.
All in favor? All in favor?
And that's, I'll bring that to the 28th also. That's a different. There's more than one, and I wanted to make sure because just looking at it and it was a little bit more. Yes.
We're doing B another day.
So.
All approved? Other business.
I asked for an executive session for personnel.
Have to make a motion to adjourn the executive session.
Right.
Wait, this is, hello? This is Kathy Beretta. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but what was the end result of the code? How is this going to happen?
We're going to get it out to everybody in the community.
For input.
For input. Next month, we're gonna make the decision when the hearing will be and discuss, take people's opinion. And does the planning board have any idea how they want to collect this data?
We have not discussed it, no.
How you want the data collected?
So on the 28th, we're gonna talk about it.
We're gonna talk about it then.
Kathy, on the 28th, we're gonna talk about it. We have a budget meeting that's a public meeting. So if you want to dial in, we're gonna talk about the process that we're gonna gather information from the public, but the board is agreed to push it out. to the-
Right.
Wonderful. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Did we publish the transfer resolution that we?
I'm
Oh.
gonna bring it.
Okay,
Just
all right,
got more to put together.
okay.
Motion to adjourn to go to.
Real quick, before we go into executive, in other business, I would like to put on next month's agenda that we. Section. Security officer. Security officer. And I'd like.
Should we have that on the budget?
I was just gonna say, we can discuss that budget. Let's do it.
Yeah, sure.
Because that's gonna be.
That's gonna be a long meeting now.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it. I think you need it. We're just gonna- we're just-
Okay, let's try this again.
Go, Bill, go.
Adjourn, move to adjourn. So that we can
You move to adjourn to executive session.
go to the
Yeah.
executive session.
But I believe
You
you're
finish.
supposed to say, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Uh,
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're gonna do it, okay. Folks. we wanna go Next door, we can.
We are not, we're not making any, are we making any changes?
No, there'll be no changes.
No changes. Okay, so you just have to sign it already.
Yeah.
Motion, no.
Yeah, no business will be done.
No business will be done. We're gonna go into executive session. Thank you very much.
Sure you turn the recording off.
Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you.
Oh.
Just a separate board,
Um,
on the proposed code changes.